Well, the mystery theme is indeed happening, and we also have a mystery speaker. And the mystery speaker is always somebody who is very well respected in the community, somebody who's been working quite a bit around all kind of things on the web, because this is kind of a conference for people who love and design and build the web. And I want to give you a couple of things to know about the mystery speaker. Mystery speaker around? Yes, okay, excellent. Well, the first video game our mystery speaker has played was Super Mario. I got, ooh, wow, fantastic. Obsessed with dumplings and bubble tea. Double, it's fantastic, right? Went to STEM high school for mathematics. No, who? Disappointing. Oh, here we go, fantastic. It's been passionately collecting erasers and stationery. Well, I knew that. That would be coming in. Erasers, yes, yes. And was born in Shanghai, but also worked with a lot of companies from Apple and many others, Microsoft and so on and so forth, right? And a very dear friend of mine. I'm very happy to have her with us today. I will not speak too much about what the talk will be about, you'll find out, but you're up for an adventure. So please give a warm applause to the mystery speaker of this conference, YIYING Lu. How mysterious you are. So YIYING, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Vitaly. Hi, everybody, how are we? Excellent. Are you ready for day 2? Yes, fantastic. Well, I have a question for you. How many people know this image behind me? Raise your hand. Wow, you're kind of my people, excellent. So for those of you who don't know, this is actually the Twitter fail whale. And for those of you who know, I love you even like more than, day 0. Because what's really very important to me is this is the very reason why I'm here. I actually need the clicker here so I can resume my talk. This is the very image that led me here, and I created this image back in 2006 when I was studying in UK, back in Australia, New South Wales, pun intended. So I did it initially as a birthday e-card, but little do I know, this image actually creates an entire community around the world, from these sculptures from Japan to Australia and Tokyo, and street art in New York, Copenhagen, Denmark, and Singapore to San Francisco. And this was the reason why Twitter was using it every single time when Twitter goes down back between 2008 to 2013. And it even has people create cupcakes and cakes and fashion lines, and you have Halloween costumes. Halloween's coming up. And also somebody loved it so much and tattooed it on the leg in Florida and made it to the CNN News. So what I am amazed is how art combining with technology actually creates this world of community. And these are real people behind it. I get like the tweets or email from these people, and some of them actually I have met in person. And what's really also amazing to me as the artist behind it is to also see the impact of tech world started to hire more artists and incorporating art into their Arrow page to humanize the experience, especially when things goes wrong, because we're all human, to Era is human, to make the experience more engaging, more human, and also more fun. So hi, my name is YIYING Lu. Yi means happy, Ying means creative, and Lu means land. I was born and raised, as Vitaly said, in Shanghai, China, and I was educated in Sydney, Australia, and London. That's why you heard this very mixed accent. It's globalized. My passion is actually, if you look at the word function, everybody knows why we're doing what we do. It's functional, but if you look very close, the first 3 letters of function is actually fun. Right? And this is something most of the time we miss it, or we don't really kind of pay attention to the first 3 things. And what is fun? Fun is enjoyment, amusement, and also lighthearted pleasure. And I think that's actually the very important thing when we are focusing on function so much. What we shouldn't forget is also the fun in it. And also, the other thing I was very interested in is seeing the opportunity in danger. This is kind of my Chinese background sort of helps a little bit, because in Chinese world, for crisis is actually danger and opportunity, two characters coming together. And if you look at the Twitter farewell, it was a sort of a dangerous situation for the server, for the website, or later on become app for the company. But it also transformed into an opportunity because of art. And to me, what I also have been very interested in is how to use art as a vehicle, or how to use storytelling as a vehicle to transform crises into opportunities, and turning something that's dangerous to something that's new and exciting. So the reason why I'm ended up here is also all these different crises coming together, but also with the ability to engage with these things. Because in 2008, how many of you know 2008 is also global financial crisis? Yes. So it was around the time Twitter was really popular, social media was just rising. So many people were using the social media platform Twitter, and that's why it went down and have the arrow page, which the Twitter whale was showed up. So the whale was licensed to Twitter, and the next thing you know, there's a global financial crisis. And folks in San Francisco Bay Area were throwing a party called the Fail Party. And they reached out to me. David Bell, who's one of the leaders, reached out to me. I'd never met these people, and they reached out to me and say, hey, we know you did the whale. Our community is going to throw a party called the Fail Party to celebrate the failure. And we were wondering, would you be so compelled to design something for the community? We don't have any budget, but if you get the chance to do this, and if you ever come to San Francisco, we will host a party for you. So at the time, I just graduated, and I thought, well, that sounds fun. And it also is something I always wanted to do, which is using art to cultivate community. So I said, yeah, let's do that. So I spent some time, happened to be in holiday, so I spent some time, and little do you know, 200 people showed up to the party, and the artwork also made it to Wired magazine. Back then, I didn't even know how big Wired magazine is, but I think I was really kind of following the fun and also following my passion. And what's also fascinating is because of the tech boom, all the tech companies started to employ the whale, and more community were aware of this artwork. I ended up got this Shorty Awards, not because of my height, by the way. It's the Short Content Creation Award in New York City. This is in 2009, which is exactly 16 years ago. And I got the chance to actually come to the US and also New York for the first time. And apparently, the logo of the Shorty Awards was also inspired by the whale. Later on, I learned from the designer. So on the way back to Sydney, there's actually no direct flight because it's a long flight, and the plane had to have fuel in the West Coast. So I had to stop in either San Francisco or LA for a layover. And I suddenly remember, these people still owe me a party. So I emailed David. I said, hey, I'm actually coming to the Bay Area for a 3-day, just a layover. I was wondering if I can redeem the party offer. And he said, of course, it's a bit of a stretch of time. We only have like 10-something days to advertise it. We'll see how many people are going to show up. So 400 people showed up to the event. I mean, at the time, people really wanted to meet each other because it was a very difficult time. But I was captivated by the positivity, even though people are going through a lot, whether it's job loss or, the market was crashing, but people were genuinely there to meet others and interested in, exchange stories. And that's how I was really kind of falling in love with the startup scene and also the tech scene. This is back in 2009 for the first time. And of course, we had the fail party. I bought the Tim Tam from Australia. I already gave up all the Tim Tam this time, but hopefully next time I'll bring some. And the Twitter fail party too was also being featured. They even made a cake, by the way. So this was really incredible how people were also so innovative and also so, open to embrace the failure and seeing it as an opportunity. And it also creates more opportunity, like the the Conan pale whale. So Conan O'Brien reached out. This is 2009, and his team reached out and asked me to create him riding a whale because Conan is very pale and he likes to ride the whale. And so I created this Conan pale whale, and he was using it for the TBS debut of the Conan show. And I also got the chance to meet him in LA with my San Franciscan family. This is Cheryl O'Brien and their lovely son Samuel, who, this is back then, who actually drove me all the way from San Francisco to LA. And the reason why I met this family was also because of my whale. Brian was an entrepreneur, and he reached out. He's like, hey, if you ever need a place to stay in San Francisco, we got you. We have an additional room for you. And this was pre-Uber, pre-Airbnb, pre-sharing economy, and just the sheer kindness of human that I'm experiencing really showed me the power of technology. I mean, if it's not because of social media, I wouldn't be here. So there is, of course, a lot of criticism from people around the world saying that tech is destroying humanity. I'm a living proof that tech changed my life, right? So I would love to invite you to also see the other side of the story, and also see the other side of the narrative. And that's also interesting. Around the same time, Guy Kawasaki, I don't know how many of you know Guy Kawasaki here. He is the first, thank you for the woo. He's the first Apple evangelist, and he also was an investor in Valley, very known in the tech world. But back then, I'm very kind of innocent and naive. I don't know, I don't even know what Huffington Post is. This is like, and how fresh and new I was. But Guy Kawasaki reached out after he saw the Conan post, and he said, hey, I'm actually releasing my new book, Enchantment, and I was wondering if you might be able to help me with the book with the Guy Kawasaki butterfly. And I said, of course, I love your work. And so I did the butterfly. I was like, are you sure you want to ride the origami butterfly? Of course. And so the next thing you know, Guy said, I really want to introduce you to this little startup that I invested in. And you probably haven't heard about it. It's called Looped. And also, have you heard about South by Southwest? And I said, no, I'd never heard about South by Southwest. Again, this is how fresh I was. And he's like, you must go to South by Southwest. And this is 2011. And so I met Guy in person in Silicon Valley for my art show. And I also worked with Looped for their marketing team, for their campaign in South by Southwest in Austin, Texas. And it turns out, I learned many years later, Looped is actually Sam Altman's first startup. Which he sold later on and had the founding to start new things like OpenAI. And I was also fortunate enough to work with hundreds of startups between 2009 all the way to 2015. A lot of them were coming from 500 startups. They were invested by Y Combinator and 500 startups. And I eventually joined 500 Startups as a global creative director in 2015. And I moved from Sydney, Australia to here. To United States, specifically to San Francisco. And we also have Demo Wing, so we have Halloween-themed Demo Day, and my interest is, again, bringing a lot more fun and artistic energy into the tech world. I have also worked with Shanghai Disneyland, creating their entire campaign for their recruitment campaign, which was around 2014 to 16, which is also something I'm passionate about, which is like bridging the world of East and West using creativity. And what's also fascinating, another incarnation of this, actually, this is an illustration by the smashing artist, Ricardo. You can actually see this is all Ricardo's work. I met him at one of the Fiborg event many years ago. So Ricardo actually had designed Vitaly as the whale. This is actually even before I met Vitaly in person in 2010. Vitaly sent me a lovely email. This is 2010, as you can see from the date. I cannot believe this is 15 years ago, and he doesn't change. And he said, I was wondering if you can do some illustration for the Smashing Book 2. and I ended up working with him. It was such a pleasant collaboration, and everything was done virtually. I did all these artworks, I sent it over, and they got the book printed and they shipped it to Australia. I was living in Sydney back then. And in 2017, I started to do more speaking because I was working with hundreds of startup founders. I was just kind of like this rabbit eating a rocket carrot. I feel like it's not scalable to do one-on-one meetings because a lot of companies actually had similar issues. So I started to do more like one to more people so people can learn from like this experience exchange, but also more people can get the information at the same time. So I emailed Vitaly, because this is around the same time he started SmashingConf. I emailed Vitaly, I said, hey, I know that you're doing a conference in New York and other cities. I was wondering if I could actually come and speak at your event and also finally meet you in person. This is 7 years after we collaborate. It was just because I really wanted to meet him in person and meet the team in person, and I sent an email. And the next thing you know, I was here 8 years ago on this very stage. So it is very special for me to be back today. And Mark took the lovely photo, and it's evidence that actually happened. And also, we had dumplings. This is, I think it was 2017, we had dumplings here. And I think one of the most valuable things is that I got the chance to meet all these amazing people and also share a meal with them and exchange stories. Did I say dumpling? Yeah, I did. Okay, so let's move on to how I create the dumpling emoji. How many of you actually use the dumpling emoji on your phone? Raise your hand. Nice. Okay, great. Well, you're in for a treat. I'm also going to share the story of how I created the dumpling emoji. So when I moved, as I said, I moved into San Francisco, Silicon Valley in 2015. And on August 8, which is a very auspicious day, my friend Jenny 8 Lee, who is an incredible writer and also entrepreneur, sent me a photo of the pot stickers and inviting me for dumplings. And I realized that there was no dumpling emoji on my phone. And so I sent the text back, and she's like, oh, good point. I'm like, that's about it. But then I was like, wait a minute, I'm a designer. You know, I use my imagination. I can make something. So I went back and I made this bling bling dumpling because it blings. And then sent it back to her. She's like, did you just made it? I said, yes. And then she said, well, that's great. You know, why don't we publish this? And I was like, yeah, that's a good idea. But how are we going to do this? But well, she said it's very important because Georgia have khinkali, Japan has gyoza, Korea have mandu, Italy have ravioli, pierogi in Poland, pelmeni in Russia, like empanadas in Argentina, right? Kreplach in the Jewish culture, and Chinese pot stickers, obviously, momos, mentis in Turkish. I did a lot of research and I ate a lot. And Maltesers in Germany. So we create this nonprofit called Emoji Nation. Very official. And we decided to have this campaign on Kickstarter because the world deserves a dumpling emoji. And we did the Kickstarter campaign, and we were able to actually connect with Unicode, which is the nonprofit that's based in Silicon Valley. And it's also the very nonprofit that has all these codes that enable new emojis on everybody's phone. And so the Unicode actually got back to us and said, we love your bling bling dumpling, but if you look at all the existing food emojis, they don't really have faces. I was like, well, if you look at the fry, it's like, never mind. And then they said, if you also look at them, they're actually 45 degrees. So, I went back and, took off the eyes and face and eat more 45-degree food. That's how I came up with the 45-degree dumpling. And so I submitted in the actual UTC meeting. That's very official. It's Unicode Technical Committee meeting in San Jose at IBM. This is 2016. We have the timestamp by my friend Alalita. And then the whole world sort of opened up. I also then designed the chopstick fortune cookie takeout box, peacock, and the bubble tea or boba tea or pearl milk tea, whatever you prefer to call it. But actually has a bit of timeline here because the dumpling emoji was created in 2015 together with 3 other food emojis. Peacock was 2017, and the boba tea was actually finally on everybody's keyboard, and including phone and computer in 2020 during the pandemic. Thanks to these 3 data scientists. So Timothy, Sujay, and Ranjita are data scientists. Did you know the initial boba tea emoji was not successful because it was rejected? Yeah, I know, lack of data. Because I was not able to prove how much purchase and also how popular this emoji was. And the next thing you know, all these 3 passionate data scientists actually decided to submit data based on Google Analytics. So they were able to use Google Analytics to compare different beverages in the major platform and geographic location. Also, the estimated growth from 2008 to 2023. Yeah, I know, $5 billion business from boba tea. And they were able to convince the Unicode to actually finally approve and release the boba tea during the pandemic. And it's really kind of the community effort. So I love Albert Einstein's quote, as Vitaly introduced. I study mathematics. So compound interest is the 8th great wonder in the world. When we compound our interest, when we bring community together who has the same interest, wonder does happen. And so this is the power of community, and there is unity in community. And so because of the emoji and all these stories, I started to present more, and I was doing a lot more public speaking with audience. This was before pandemic. But the pandemic really kind of, before the pandemic, it also brought me a lot of joy, is working and presenting to an audience that's not only considered themselves as designers and creatives, but also lawyers and accountants and people who are not necessarily considered themselves in the creative world. So this is actually my friend Hai-Ching, who's a lawyer in Silicon Valley, and she actually get the chance to come to my workshops at the Apple Store and create her first digital art. And then she told me she actually wanted to go to art school back in the days, but she ended up going to law school because of, as you know, why. And so she said, I never really know how artistic I am until I did this art, and somebody sit next to me and said, wow, you're really good, are you an artist? And she was like, I never knew, I could be creative. I was like, creativity is for everybody. And this is also another important mission for me, is really kind of help to bring out, like, letting people to see their own creativity through artistic practice and visual storytelling. And so Hai-Ching was one of the inspiration that I continue to do the work I do. And the pandemic then happened. As I mentioned, there's always opportunity in crises. So when the pandemic happened, a lot of the in-person talk has been canceled. And so I've been trying to find ways to engage with community online. And Hai-Ching actually reached out and said, hey, I have all these lawyers that might you'd be interested to do some creative workshop with you online. And we've never done this before. I said, I've never done this before either. Why don't we do this? And so we create this drink and draw events where I ask people to draw themselves as their favorite dumplings, experiencing their most frustration moment in their job. This is her frustration moment. She said, sometimes I feel like I'm a cog in a machine, can you get me the contract done ASAP, right? And I'm crying, like the dumpling is crying. And then I asked them to draw the most grateful moment in their job, which is, she said, sometimes I feel like, I was able to get a nice paycheck, but I also, my work is in education, in tech, ed tech, that also changed the world. For the next generation. And then I was able to do this with more of the lawyers. This is actually Asian Bar Association in the Bay Area. They call themselves ABBA. And this is the frustration moment was people are talking, most of the people were talking about the frustration moment is contract, looking at the contract. But if you look closer, it's fascinating how they visually express contract very differently, just like emojis. Some of them are using paper scroll, some of them using a screen, some of them were using a desktop. It's fascinating how we say contract, but in in people's mind, it has different imageries. And then the grateful moment was actually also one of my favorite things. Is apart from a guy, the grateful moment was showing a dumpling, showing a big check. Can you see? That was his grateful moment. Everybody else was also talking about their mission-driven project, which was to my surprise. Like, it really helped me to see, because when you talk about lawyers, like, talk to my lawyer, they're very kind of, robotic sort of a notion of what, but these are real human beings, they're real human lawyers, and it's really heartwarming to hear the story of their grateful moment is actually the Airbnb lawyer was helping international students to find housing during COVID. The moms were talking about, juggling the work, but also looking after the kids. And also, these lawyers were talking about mentoring the young dumplings, the young associates, which really is a way for me to actually step into the human story of lawyers. And I feel more connected with them than ever. And it's also really beautiful to see them concentrating when they're drawing. They're just like little kids having fun and getting the chance to connect with their inner creator. And so, as again, Vitaly mentioned, I love math. I like to measure things, right? So I measured the before and after, and I was able to aggregate the data. And consistently, people come in with 4, 5, 6 level of energy, and by the end of the event, they were able to rise 9 or 10, which is incredible sort of information for me to know how art and creativity could actually help to build better mental health. So I started to work with a lot of different companies. This is Dropbox. We are able to also help the Interact, which is underrepresented children. So the Dropbox design team and we work together to help to bring the story of the kids. Airbnb also using the dumpling exercise to help people to find belongings. So I asked them to draw themselves as a dumpling experiencing belonging and non-belonging moment. That was also really wonderful to see everybody's story. And of course, the Stanford Medical School professors and students, that was also really exciting. The medical school professor said, I've never actually seen my student in this particular lens. So I believe everybody is creative, and it's really, really a blessing to be able to have the opportunity to work with different fields and see everybody expressing themselves creative as dumplings. The other thing that I have been very interested in is also on education. So this is with the Computer History Museum. We talk about diversity, inclusion, and equity through emojis. And so I was also creating this emoji wall with collaboration with the Computer History Museum. So these are all the people who have, working together to champion for diversity and inclusion. So you have the hijab emoji, Ralph, and also Paul is actually part of the Adobe family, created the gender diversity emoji. Katrina was the one that advocated for skin color, different skin tone emojis. And the lovely arepa emoji was designed by the lady in the middle, and she's also a designer from Airbnb. Also, Jennifer A. Lee on the very top also made the Emoji Story, which is a movie you can check out. And did you know, by the way, emoji, actually, the actual pronunciations of emoji in Japanese is emoji. And it's actually 3 Chinese characters. E means drawing, mo means language, and ji means characters. So literally, emoji means drawing language characters. And if you write, if you draw, they are all emojis. And the first emoji creator is actually in 1999. It was actually created by a company called NTT, which is the Nippon telephone telegraph company. And they invented the first set of the emoji. And Shigetaka Kurita was the artist that created this first sets, which actually was acquired by MoMA. You can check it out later on. So because of that, I was able to connect with NTT because, before I was creating emoji, I had no idea that's actually was invented by NTT. But later on, I found out NTT was the company. And because I did a lot of work on the emoji field, so I eventually collaborated with NTT. This is in 2023. And I created a set of, what I called it Masterpiece Remixed, with public domain artworks that's more than 100 years old, with the sort of emoji collaboration. This is the Scream, emojified. And also the girl with pearl milk tea with more pearls. And also the Great Waves with different skin color surfers in different genders. To me, this is such an interesting and fun way to engage with the past and the people who actually created these artworks. And it's almost having a dialogue with them, but through a current, more modern lens. And it's also really fascinating to see when they're being installed in the location. Oh, this is a dance from Matisse, obviously. And we also had this as a 360-degree installation where the community, this is actually in San Francisco, in the financial district, people could actually come and interact. And so NTT was able to collaborate with me and making it into a experience for the Experience Center in San Francisco. People could actually come and experience the art, interacting with the art. We also did a panel discussion with folks from NTT and Computer History Museum, which I'm very grateful for. But the other thing that coming out of it is to bring it to, again, going back to the data level, we also live streamed the event on LinkedIn. And even though it's a very intimate event with less than 300 people, we live streamed it, and then the next thing you know, it was actually surprising for me, because this is the first time they were also live stream it, which is fascinating. I got a message from the NTT data team, and they said, we see an impressive 22% of engagement rate that's significantly higher compared to the average post of less than 0.1% engagement across all social media platforms, especially on LinkedIn. They had a high jump of 28.6% engagement rate, and they have 22.02 across the board of social media. This is what I realized. If we could actually use engaging content and in combination with the technology that's actually most active, you could capture and also capitalize what you have created and multiply the effect and also aggregate the data to show the engagement of the power of art. And to my surprise, this is also data coming back from the NTT data, Europe and Latin America. So the data team actually was so happy, and they reached out to me literally after the event. I was about to go to bed because it was around midnight. I got a message from Latin America, Mariana, and also Nauza from Spain. And they both come email me on LinkedIn. They said, we have a social media account that we thought is going to reach to 1 million followers in about the next 3 to 4 months. By the current rate of growth after the video was being released, the live stream was released, we are going to probably reach 1 million in the next 2 weeks. So we got to get ready and have a 1 million thank you follower campaign. And again, this is very surprising to me, because in the past, I was doing all these events. I never really kind of putting effort to measure the data. But by doing so, I was able to actually capture the business value of how art and campaign can bring to the business and also bring to the community. And so I love this quote very much. This is actually a quote from Jack Ma, who is the founder of Alibaba. He said, whether you're a B2B, business to business, or B2C, business to customer, it's always P2P, which is people to people. And this is very special to me. This is a video that I shoot in 2017 when I was collaborating with NYU Shanghai. And I was very thankful Professor Adam Brandenburger sent me out to New York, and I was actually able to shoot this video with the one and only design legend, Milton Glaser, who created the I Love New York icon. This is before he passed away in 2020. This is 2017. I asked him the question, what does it matter in life? Really, truly, with all the technology, AI, what do you think that truly matters in life? And this is his answer.
The only thing there is, or you would say, that makes life meaningful is your relationship with other human beings. That's the only thing there is. Fame, money, reputation is bullshit. Your relationship with the other human beings you've lived with is the only thing that counts. Nothing else.
Thank you. Thank you, Milton, and thank you for staying on the theme. The only thing matters and the only thing makes life meaningful is your relationship with other human beings. Thank you, Milton. And this is a photo from yesterday. And I think that's the reason why we're having human experience, is to be able to actually meet people in person and, face to face. And this is also what Milton told me. I asked him what's his favorite moment. He said, in African language, there's no word for like I love you. Like in English, we say I love you. So he's like, so what do you say in African like tribal language? This is what he said. It's I see you. Because the fact that you're existing in my reality is the highest form of expression of love. So get out, meet people, and eat dumplings. And keep in touch. And tell me what's your favorite dumpling. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Xing. This is very powerful. I think when I look back at the stories, like not even just the story that you kind of shared, but also like the stories of life, I feel like very often it's just those little decisions that actually make such a big, profound change in life.
Yes.
And sometimes it's saying things to things, sometimes it's saying no to things, sometimes it's just one thing leads to another. It's like we often forget. We always think about that next thing that we want to achieve, or that next thing that we need to get done, and then we will leave, and then we will be happier, and so on and so forth. But it's so fascinating to me to see that this is always like a chain. It's like one thing leads to another. I mean, so many little things had to kind of come together.
Yeah.
Somebody has seen this, somebody has maybe mentioned this to that person, and so on and so forth, and all is magically working. So what would you think would be the right way to enable that, or to kind of to just embrace it? You can't just say yes to everything.
Exactly.
Right? So how would you kind of find your way around it?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think, again, I asked Milton the similar question. I said, and he actually said this. He said, logic is overrated. It's really like following your intuition. Intuition, and I think the way to follow intuition is check in with your body. And I found breathing exercises very helpful. When you take a breath, because breathing in Spanish language actually means like inspiration. That's actually coming from the word like inspire. It actually means to take a breath. And so, when you try to make a very important decision, take a breath. Let the energy come into you, and let your intuition guide you. And I think it's important to check your gut, like the gut feeling. Like, for example, yesterday I wanted to catch up with everybody at the after party, but the thing I was telling you, I said, I checked my body. I thought I should go back and sleep, and I did, and I was able to actually have the energy to present. So I do think it's important to take a breath, to look after your body, because I think your health is very important to you, and also, check your intuition. Sometimes logic could be helpful, but intuition is more.
Yeah, so I think, I don't know, do we have a bit of time, Amanda? Because it tells me -3 minutes. Okay, maybe 2 minutes. I'll take it as 2 minutes.
All right.
We have a bit of time, because it tells me like a little bit.
Okay.
Because we do have a lot of questions here in the chat as well. What I did want to ask, I will ask it last. That's not about me. But what did come up here, just a moment. I just need to zoom out here for a second. There was a question that came up very quickly. Now I think a lot of stuff that's been added in here. Sure, you can have it. It's okay. Susan was wondering, thanks so much for sharing this story, your inspiring story. You've highlighted how tech can create broad and many numerous connections. For creators and professionals among us who are more introverted, what would you recommend to kind of use the same tools or techniques to build deeper, meaningful connections?
Great question. Thank you, Susan. And I understand what it is like to be introverted too, because how do you know I have the time to create all the art? I lock myself in a room. And I think there's different ways of expression. Of course, public speaking is one way, but I also think writing is a great of expression, and having your voice being heard, whether it's recording your stories as form of podcast, or having posts on LinkedIn. I think more and more creators now are using LinkedIn as a vehicle to express their creativity and opinions. I think there's all kinds of different ways. And I think the most, really, truly, most important thing for us is to actually connect with people with genuine interest. And so many projects that got me to where I am right now was just a genuine interest of expression. You know, I never really imagined creating this birthday e-card, which is the original reason of creating the whale. Was in 2006. I was doing it actually for my friends in UK and in China, like my Shanghai friends and London friends, because Facebook just came about, and I couldn't write on everybody's wall for their happy birthday or anniversary. So I created this artwork initially to just as an e-card to send it to everyone. It wasn't designed for Twitter, but the next thing you know, people actually see themselves in the image. And I think that when you come up and piece that you genuinely have the urge and desire to connect, to communicate, that intention is going to be captured in the work that you do. And people who have the same antenna, we're social creatures. We're able to quickly identify what resonates with us. People who are supposed to be in your tribe will find you. And I can prove that. You know, I was born and raised in Shanghai. I know 0 person in America back then, in 2008. I don't know anyone on social media. But there is incredible intelligence in us that our logic mind cannot fully articulate, that will find you, and you'll be amazed. And I think that's truly the biggest gift.
I think for me it's actually very similar when I think about like just I don't know, writing articles or something like that. Eventually there is somebody who notices that, and then they are connected with that person, and then it kind of really all propagates. And by just giving to the world something that people can benefit from, they can be inspired by.
Yep.
And you know, we always think about like, what is the point? Like, there's often this conversation going on. We need to be more efficient. We need to be faster, and all of that.
Yeah.
And very often, this kind of goes at the cost of being just playful.
Right. Oh yeah.
And just creative, and just create for creating's sake, without actually thinking about this efficiency all the time.
Yeah.
I think that this is also something that really helps connect, because if you just try to help people, I don't know, use filters faster or something, right? That's one story, and that's an important part.
Yeah.
But that's not what will connect you necessarily with other people and make you feel attached to somebody's ideas and so on and so forth. And that's also what I find quite powerful and so on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like a abundance mindset versus scarcity mindset.
Yes.
When you're like working on something, you're like, oh yeah, man, I have to work on this. You're in a survival mindset, right? And a lot of times we tend to be cling on the resources we have. But when you're looking at creativity, you'll never be able to use up your creativity. You get more creative if you create more, period. Yeah. And so that's how I look at it.
Yeah, so we have more questions, but please, if you do have questions for Ying, please find Ying outside after the break. But I do need to ask.
Yes.
So coming here, like what, 7, 8 years later?
Yes.
How is it different for you? Like, you're on the same stage.
Yes. Thank you so much for that question. It really means to me, and I don't know if you know, but I don't think I told many people. This is actually very important to me, because this is actually the first time I'm coming back since last year. So you probably don't know, but in last year, in 2024, I was here for Shorty Awards 16th anniversary, and I was here, this is May, and I was attacked in the subway by someone who has mental issues. And it took me 8 months went through numerous therapy issues and work on myself to come back to this, to come back to myself. So for those of you who are telling me that you're introverted, I completely understand. I was not able to actually even go to a room with people for a good 5 months. I was like, I don't know this person, but I know this person, if you know what I mean. There's moments I'm like, I don't know if I could ever get onto the stage, and I'm able to present like I used to be. But coming back here, and that's why I didn't tell you this until you asked me this question. Coming back here and being able to present just now, it really gave me so much meaning. And being able to see you guys and being in the same room with you, thank you so much. You don't know how much this means to me. So, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So wonderful to have you here.
And thanks for the chocolate.
Of course, of course.
Thank you.